Chat. This is our free masterclass, clearing the soul ties of sex slavery. Sex slavery. This is a special offering. I specialize in working with sex workers and survivors. Even if you don't have the direct experience, but it's somewhere in your lineage or in your past life, ancestral memory, or a shadow archetype that you carry, this is for you. This is for everyone who wants to reclaim your energy from anywhere that it's been stolen from you. Typically, these contracts of ancestral sex slavery, they're entered into at times where the family is dealing with famine, they're dealing with refugee status, they're dealing with homelessness, they're dealing with poverty, they're dealing with extenuating circumstances which make them vulnerable to entering into agreements that ultimately don't serve. And these are spiritual agreements. So even though there are humans carrying out the contractual agreements, they're governed by principalities in the spirit realm. Spirits use humans to do their work on earth, just like humans use spirits to do their work in the spirit realm. So come on in, you guys. Let's give people time to join. Welcome to the chat. Drop your city, drop your zodiac sign, say what up, though. If you're catching the replay, drop a comment that says hashtag replay, some black and yellow hearts, and let's get into it. I just need my lip gloss. You don't even know how many obstacles there have been to delivering this message, but it's here, it's happening. I am not giving up on this at all. And it would be so easy too. It really would. So let's see here. My dog is with me. We're at the dog park. My phone definitely didn't have enough battery to do this live stream, and I was going to plug it into my laptop, and then I discovered my laptop was dead. I literally slept outside last night. I've been dealing with housing instability. I've been basically going into the homes of people who I have ancestral karmic sex slave contracts with and defeating them and disabling the contract from inside the house, from inside the relationship. I've been doing a spiritual battle. I am a archetypal healer. I'm not just healing myself. I'm not just breaking curses for myself. When I do these things, it has a ripple effect throughout the entire collective. So this is why I specialize in working with sex workers and survivors, and I always have. If you don't know me, I'm Amira. I am founder of Heaven on Earth Reiki, Holistic Healing for Hoes, and the hoesarehealers movement. Now I put everything into Root Lock, my 6-month program, training program for spiritual warriors, breaking generational curses of childhood sexual abuse. That's where you study with me. I coach you. And I support you in breaking these curses for yourself and creating a holistic healing lifestyle that is your own. So I hold the framework for you. I don't impose things on you. I'm very careful with my work to let the people that I work with have the space to create something that's authentic to you. So go ahead, drop your city, drop your zodiac sign, say what up, though. Let me know you're here. Let me know you're in the chat. And say what up, though. I'm gonna pull a couple cards for us to start us off. Let's see. But I want to give people time to join, if they're gonna join. I need my nail file. I cannot. So I was rushing around. So I've been like, hi. So I've been like I said, it's been a lot of obstacles to be able to do this. Why? It's not just spiritual warfare coming from outside. It's also when you're doing this type of work and you're freeing yourself from ancestral contracts that have historically meant safety, housing, food, income, you're going to stop yourself. You'll put obstacles for yourself. You have like safeguards and firewalls built in, especially if you've experienced organized religion, ritual abuse, or something like that. There's hypnosis involved, there's spiritual contracts involved. You come into agreement with certain things. You take vows of silence, you take vows of whatever, poverty, celibacy, whatever it is. And all these things serve to like further bind the contract in place. So what I've discovered, because I started intentionally breaking the generational curse of childhood sexual abuse in 2018. And it all started with a candle dedicated to Oya, the Orisha Oya. And it's cute. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love candle magic. But the effort that it takes to break these curses, it's a lot more than just a candle. It's a lot more than just a candle. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm breaking this curse with this candle. Then what I found out is that it's not just one curse. These curses work as conglomerates together. Just like a corporation is like a conglomerate. Like they put a bunch of them together so that they're stronger. And it's just like that with the curses. They put a bunch of them together so that they're stronger. So you can't break one without breaking them all, because any one of them is going to cause the other curses to come back. Like say you break the curse of sex slavery. Like you have autonomous free sex. You don't have to have sex with anybody for money or for housing or for any reason. That doesn't necessarily mean that the larger conglomerate curse of childhood sexual abuse, it has been broken, because it ties into the basics of how we live, like housing and food specifically. So you might break, like you might like break out of sex slavery. Like you don't have to, whatever sex you don't want to have, you don't have to do it anymore, but you still get all your food through a certain grocery store, or a certain vendor, like a certain brand. You're still housed in. My brain is getting foggy. I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. Because it sounds really abstract. I know if you don't know what I'm talking about already, it's like I'm gonna do my best to explain this thoroughly. I'm gonna pull a couple cards to get us started. My dog also needs attention, so I'm playing ball with her. People are in the chat heckling me. Men want to see me naked. I don't know where you guys came from, but this ain't that kind of channel. I was all happy that I got all these new followers. Then I realized they're just like men that want to see my titties. You guys are lame. All right, so anybody cool can talk to me. Anybody that's lame, don't talk to me. This is really for women, because most men don't listen, and they won't listen to somebody like me. Like, why is it that the vast majority of all my followers are men, but they're only here to look at pictures of me? They're not, like he said, pull some cards now. Bitch, I don't take orders from you, Randy Michael, you bitch. This one, can you do, he keeps deleting his messages because he knows he's down bad. He's like, can you do a loud queef? Are you kidding me? Why would I do that? This ain't OnlyFans, bitch. So I'm not saying shit until somebody actually says something real. If you're in there hiding, he said, pull them cards now, quit yapping. All right, let's see. Let me see. You're in timeout. Wait, no. I just want to delete this guy. Let's see, report. a ladder. And him too. Report. And remove. All right. Why are you guys all men? What the hell? Where are the women? What has happened to my channel? You can go to remove. Dinesh, you can stay. He said, hi, sweetie. So beautiful pics. Good night, sweet dreams. I said hi. Yes, you can stay. Everybody else, fuck off. Thank you. I will. He said, keep on being you and doing you. I surely will. I don't want people up in here talking to me crazy. I don't talk to y'all crazy. I'm not rude and disrespectful to y'all. So I don't know why you would come at me like that. That's crazy. Especially when what's crazy is this is honestly, it's like I said, the vast majority of all my followers on all my platforms are men, yet y'all never book me or pay me for anything. All my money, all my clients are women. All my money comes from women. All my clients are women. Some of y'all need the most help. I've literally only sold, I've done readings for men working in shops in the French Quarter, but online, I've literally only sold one reading, or let me say, I think it's been like 2 readings to men actually. In the years that I've been doing this. So why are y'all here? Just to look at titties and cleavage? What the hell? And I had a guy message me asking to buy a reading, and then he was like, oh, well, he was like trying to dictate the terms of the reading and how the reading would go. I'm like, this is my reading. I'm giving it to you. If you want to do a reading for yourself the way you would do it, then do that, bitch. And then I told him, fuck off, you little bitch. You can't, I don't want your business. You can't book with me. So right now, like the levels of interference with the messages that I've been trying to deliver over the past few days, I recorded a reading for the eclipse and boom, my mic turned off like 2 minutes into it. So nothing, there was no sound. I've been going through the fucking most to deliver this fucking shit. My laptop was dead. My phone was about to die. I found an outlet way up high, and the guy here went across the street and borrowed a ladder to put my charger up there so I could charge my laptop, so I could charge my phone, so I could deliver this message. So if you're gonna be up in here talking crazy to me, you can get the fuck. I worked really hard to do this. I would choke the shit out of somebody. I don't give a fuck. I do not give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about how nobody feels about it. This is clearing the soul ties of sex slavery. Do you even understand what the fuck we're doing? Why? There's interference with this. Why? Because the entire global currency system is based on childhood sexual exploitation. Commercial sexual exploitation of children. This is the whole thing in the news, the Epstein, Maxwell, Trump. Everyone that you look up to, or that isn't a fucking billionaire or politician or high up in corporate or high up in the entertainment industry, they make their money because kids are getting molested. Whether or not they're actually doing the molesting, although most of them are, they do weird stuff because they're infested with demons that like weird shit. They eat dead people. They eat organs for specific purposes. They torture children, they sexually exploit them, and they don't care because it's not their kids. But they'll still exploit their own kids because that's part of it. It's generational prostitution. The entertainment industry is prostitution. Every celebrity is a sex worker. They get paid to be sexy. They get paid to do sexual acts. They get paid to sell their sexual energy. Sexual energy is spiritual energy. It's creative energy. This is what the world runs on. And as I've been breaking these curses for myself, the way that I show up online, the way that I look, and the way that I speak and think is completely different. Because over time, over years, since 2018, I've been doing this. Okay. So what is that? 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. That's 7 years. I've been working on this for 7 years. So what I've discovered, I mean, it could fill many books if they would get published. He said what they're doing to the kids is wrong. Yes. And this ain't new. It's very old. It's very ancient. So this is why these curses are so challenging to break, because they're embedded in every system that we exist in. And the way that I fit into all of this is I was one of the kids. Like, all right. Report and remove. All right. I'm just gonna report and remove everybody. I need a moderator. If anybody in here can be a moderator, let me know, because I can't keep track of all these reckless comments. All right. She was doing a reading and she doesn't use cards at all, and I love it. Yes. No, you can't be a mod because you're the one that's saying the bullshit. I'm trying to remove you. Oh, it's just removing the comment. How do I remove the person? I'll put his ass in timeout. There you go. Like a little fucking kid, since you act like one, bitch. All right, no, I don't need cards to do readings. I channel the information. So the way that I deliver these messages is, it's part lecture, part channeling, part advice, part reading. But I'm gonna use some cards because I want to get some overarching energies. So let's see, we have harmony, temperance, the world. Yeah, this is a rebalancing. The earth polarity has shifted from masculine to feminine. This happens every so often on earth. So women right now, we're coming into our power in a way that we haven't for a long time. And when we do this cord clearing, this energy clearing of these past soul ties, it enables us to come into power ethically. Because nothing ever comes out of nowhere. Like, if people are like, why is there, what, like, people think that the way that the world is now is just the way that it's always been. Why is there patriarchy? Why is there white supremacy? Why is there like all this different domination, oppression, control? Well, at one point it wasn't patriarchy, it was matriarchy. Women abused the power, not men. Women had the power and they abused it. So then, cause and effect. Just like white supremacy, that shit didn't come out of nowhere. Cause and effect. For example, in France, they hate Muslims so much. Well, Muslims invaded their country. Everybody in France is mixed with the North African because the Muslim invaders conquered their country. So cause and effect, this shit doesn't come out of nowhere. And this is a thing where a lot of my collective is really politically involved, astute, activist-oriented, community-minded. So it's time to kick it up a notch, because obviously if that stuff worked, it would have worked by now, and it hasn't. It hasn't worked. It's worse. I don't believe in card readings. I believe in God. You are speaking about things that are going on in this world that are wrong, and that is good. It's good you're bringing this stuff to light. Thank you. All right, thank you. We have a moderator. Thank you, Schmeech. The Fool. The Fool is the first card in tarot. Now, okay, I'm gonna put the cards away because I got the information that I needed. This card deck is 1001 Nights. In the story of 1001 Nights, Scheherazade, she's captured by this king and he wants to put her to death. But she says, wait, I gotta tell you a story. It's an amazing story. You gotta hear this story. And she starts telling him her stories. And he's so fascinated by them that he lets her live another night, and then another night, and then another night, because he wants to know what happens next. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. Singing for your supper. So obviously she's a woman who would have been a concubine. She would have been in the concubine position, but she was elevated to a higher level position in the king's court itself because her gift of speaking and storytelling was so valuable to him that he wanted her right there, and it saved her life. And this is the moment that we are in. It's a throat chakra opening. Your throat chakra is right here. It's your ears and your throat. And one of the major reasons why this information has been buried is because people that know about it have been under vows of silence, so they haven't been able to speak about it. And just like I was talking about earlier with the conglomerate curse, when it's a vow of silence, it's not just one thing that you're vowed to be silent over. It's many, many things. And so they trap you. They trap you at every step. And when it comes to surviving childhood sexual abuse, especially ritual abuse and the type of abuse where it's commercial sexual exploitation, like that means porn and trafficking, there's a lot said that subliminally communicates to the child that they're not going to be safe if they speak on it, or their loved ones are not going to be safe if they speak on it. Like, don't tell anybody, or I'll hurt your family, I'll hurt your dog, like, I'll hurt you. You can't tell anybody because they're going to say that it was your fault. So even if this occurs under hypnosis and it's not conscious, that's even worse. If somebody consciously knows that they were told not to say anything or that they would get hurt, then they're afraid and they know why they're afraid. But if the communication was embedded when the child was under hypnosis, then the child is afraid, but they don't know why they're afraid. They have behaviors like protecting secrets, protecting abusers, not knowing that they're doing these behaviors. So they don't know why. And this was me. I didn't know what happened until I was in my 30s. But I knew something happened. I always knew something happened. I just didn't know what it was. And it was way worse than I ever could have possibly imagined. Once I started remembering what happened, because I took years to remember. Like, I started in 2014. And I started I started in 2013. I started meditating with crystals, dream journeying, astral travel, and then in 2017 I took a 10-day silent meditation retreat, Vipassana, and you can look it up. They have these 10-day silent meditation retreats all over the world. They're free. Where's my dog? There she is. They're totally free. So Vipassana, look it up, Vispassana. That's when I started really remembering. And it started from the first instance up until the most serious. And it took a few years for everything to come out. Like, in 2017 was when I got the first vision of what happened to me first. But that was being molested before I was 1 year old. And people think that you can't remember stuff that happens that early, or you shouldn't be able to remember stuff. A lot of the stuff that I'm saying, it's already been like embedded in people's minds that anybody that talks like this is crazy. Like, there was one person in here saying you should wear a tinfoil hat, ha ha ha. So people that know about these things are pathologized as psychotic in order to discredit what they're saying, because to point to this structure of domination and control that begins with child abuse, it undermines the entire fabric of society, the society that we live in that is based on that. And that's the big secret that has been wanting to come out, that is being suppressed. But it's so powerful, the moment in time of disclosure that we're at, that there's no stopping it. Like, the Epstein survivors came out and said, we're going to put our own list out. And they showed their faces. Like, they're basically saying, they're communicating to the entire world, like, I know I could die for this, and I'm willing to. And that's a really powerful place to be at when, I mean, like Audre Lorde said, like, it's better to speak knowing you were never meant to survive. Years ago, someone said to me, can you keep a secret? I said, tell me your secret so I can tell everyone your secret. I don't keep secrets, I don't like secrets, and I will not keep a secret. Right. Yeah. Back in the day, the way that humans interacted with one another, we didn't keep secrets. You could read it all in someone's aura, and a lot of people still can. Like, there's people that you can't hide from. They can see it. They know who's a molester. They know who's a child abuser. They know who's abusing their wife. They know who's robbing people. They know who's stealing. They know who's doing this, doing that. Like, you can see in the aura. You can read it on the person. And in traditional societies and traditional way of life, before all the things that have been introduced to dull our psychic senses, we could know these things. We couldn't keep secrets from one another. So that's like one of those number one red flags for people that are going to end up trying to abuse a child, is like they start with seeing if the child will keep a secret and seeing if they can, like, you know, what type of access they can have and how much they can get away with. And they slowly push their boundaries until, and it's not really a far stretch for someone to go from, like, raping an adult woman to sexually abusing a child. Because when people are trying to get their thrills in these sick ways, it's never enough, and they need more and more and more, and it escalates. So for this, this isn't like a traditional masterclass. This is just more like a conversation that we talk about a lot of different things, and we weave the concept together. And then I'm going to be doing a private group energy healing that is paid. It's $111. You can join by emailing me or DMing me. And that's going to be clearing the chakras, clearing the soul ties, removing the cords, the energy cords, terminating the contracts, restoring the soul fragments that have been lost along the way. So we're going to be doing energy work. So essentially, like, what I want to communicate most is the connections between all the trappings of modern life and the basic foundation that is childhood sexual abuse. And the reason why these are soul ties that develop is because this type of abuse creates very deep ties and deep cords between people, even if you never see that person again. And it can often reoccur over lifetimes. It could be the same soul or soulless being, interdimensional skinwalker, essentially. It's like I was saying, spirits use humans on Earth to do their earthly work because they don't have bodies. So they go into the bodies of humans. So I strongly believe that when a person, especially a loved one, is molesting a child, they're not there. It's not them in the body. It's an entity that has taken over their body and taken over their vessel. And that entity could have full-time dominion over their vessel, or it could just be like in and out. But this is why people do these things, because, like, how can you explain it? How can you justify it or understand it? A lot of times people just want to say death to all pedophiles, they should be murdered, be beat their ass. I want to see them get murdered in jail. A lot of people have like an extreme emotional response of anger when it comes to talking about these things. And so they can't even really have a productive conversation that could help people to prevent these things from happening, because they're just going straight to anger. And I think some of the reason for that is because people are angry about what's been done to them, and they might not even know what's been done to them, because most people don't have the memories that I have. Like I said, I spent years deeply meditating and doing spirit journeying so I could find out what happened specifically. That was my goal. I worked on that from 2013 to 2023, like heavily. And then in 2023, I got some really strong confirmation, and that's when everything started clicking and everything started making sense. And then I lost my fucking marbles because I was so overwhelmed by it and how it's embedded in the fabric of all of society. And then I come off looking like a crazy person, and nobody understands, and I'm just being like pushed into a corner more and more and more and more, and I have no outlet for it except for my own platform. And I don't always want to talk about it, but it's like, this is actually the crux of my work, so I'm going to talk about it. And as uncomfortable as it is, talking about it makes it better. It's clearing the soul ties through communication. Whatever energy work we're doing in this live stream is just talking. And that actually frees up a lot of energy. But in the extended session, we're going to be doing actual energy work. So about me, yes. Like what happened to me is what typically happens. Basically, the first person to introduce you into these ways is going to be one of your own parents or your grandparents, like somebody in your family. That'll be the first person typically to molest a child. It's somebody in the family. That's why I don't really fuck with all that rah-rah kill all rapists bullshit, because that don't really work when the molesters and the rapists are your loved ones and your family members, especially when you're dependent on them. It doesn't work. And it's a convenient bypass. Like, people like to bypass that fact that people that are abused sexually as children and that are sold into sex slavery or sex trafficking, it's their own parents that do it. It's not some fucking stranger. It's their own parents. And why? Because they're in desperate situation. Why are they in desperate situation? Because they're dealing with curses of poverty, famine, refugee status, war, displacement. People don't look at what a lot of communities in the United States deal with as warfare because they don't see it that way. That's by design. This is generational warfare. Anybody that's up, that has money, that has wealth, and anybody that's down, that is poor, that is lacking, it's not a coincidence at all. It's all structural. It's structurally based, and it's by design. And so the people that have less than, they have less than it's directly benefiting the people that have more than. And I don't think that people are really seeing what it will actually take to break these curses. And I know for a fact that most people will not do it, because you're not going to break generational curses of poverty by having a maid clean your house, or having somebody do your nails for cheap, or make your clothes in a sweatshop for cheap, or you have your Starbucks every day where they squash labor rights movements within their businesses and they grossly underpay their employees. Like, it's like, don't get me wrong, all these things that are in our world, like Amazon and all this convenience factor, it's actually extremely hard to divest. They're gonna get you caught up somewhere. That's why it's debatable on if we actually can break the generational curse of childhood sexual abuse. And I don't think we can in our lifetime, but we can do as much of it as we can for the next generation, and then they do the rest. That's really the way I see it. I think it's such an idealistic thing to think, like, I'm going to break the generational curse of child sexual abuse because I don't want these children to have to go through what I went through. how sweet. But actually, sometimes selling you into sex slavery is one of the kindest things your elders could do for you, because it gives you a income for life, or at least a very long time. So 8 years old is basically the cutoff age for, that's when you've formed yourself as a child. Like, you're very susceptible to influence and very sensitive. Your aura is like still mixed with your parents or whoever you live with. It's not your own aura. And so this type of abuse always is going to start before the age of 8. And usually it's going to ramp up around the age of 6, 7, 8, so that the imprinting can take hold before you get old enough for it not to stick as much. And when there's things like this that happen the same over and over and over, it's because it's spiritual. There's spiritual dominion over it, because humans aren't that organized. There's not a molesters convention where they're all agreeing on best practices. They don't know. It's because these are religious contracts and spiritual contracts. And how does it work is like, basically, if this is for you, if you've experienced childhood sexual abuse, and unfortunately most people that have don't know that they have, like, you don't have any definitive proof. I actually got definitive proof that what I thought happened was actually what happened in 2023, and that's why I started going fucking psycho. Not that I was very sane before that, but it was just too hard to see it and to know that it was true, and to know that there was nothing I could do about it, and that, like, most people, no matter who they are, won't believe me. But it's okay. I remember one time I had just got into a relationship with a guy. I was having sex with him, and he was looking at my eyes, and he saw something move behind my eyes. And he was like, "What's that?" He was like, "You're not there. I saw something else in there." And then I started crying, and I told him what happened to me when I was a child. I was ritually sexually abused in my Islam school. And I had only barely scratched the surface of what I knew about that at that time. But I told him, and then I was crying, and I was like, "I don't have proof." And he was like, "I don't need proof. I believe you. You don't have to have proof." And I just like broke down even more, because I never even considered that somebody would actually believe me and that I wouldn't need proof. She said, "Let's talk about being villainized when you confront your abuser." Oh yes, let's talk about it. That just happened to me. The classic Darvo: deny, attack, reverse victim offender. So my live streams online have been a way that I've talked through a lot of this, but the confirmation I got in 2023, I had just done 22 days of the Healing Mind Control Ritual, which you can get for free in the description box below. And I had like just a few days in gotten this nudge to go look on Google. And I was just on Google doing a little Google search, and I found the organization of the people who conducted the abuse, and I found that they had moved from Silicon Valley. There's a tech startup. Why would you move from Silicon Valley to Irving, Texas? The same year that I was in a really nice Islam school, and then all of a sudden I have to go to this shitty Islam school that's in a trailer in the middle of a fucking gravel parking lot somewhere. Why? Because underneath the trailer they had dug out catacombs. So that's where the abuse takes place. There's certain spiritual rituals that you need to be underground to do, for many different reasons. One, it's protection, because if you're above ground, there's too many things that could like circle back and hit you. and this is high level witchcraft. And then 2 is because it's dark down there. It's going into the mind's eye. I don't know all the reasons why they do it like that. But the more that I talk about this, the more information comes out. I did a live stream on the same topic in 2022, and I was watching it last night, and it's like my analysis now, I know so much more, I understand so much more, my analysis is tighter, I'm able to hold it in my body. Like, looking at the difference between how I look now and how I looked then, it's like crazy. Like, my face was puffy and bloated. I was dealing with cortisol, like over imbalance of cortisol, and I didn't know what it was. My boundaries were a lot, like my energy boundaries were not strong like they are now. I could not say no. I was people pleaser. I was giving, not receiving. What I didn't know was the stage of the curse that I was in. This is a generational curse. So you're, depending on what age you're in it at a different level. Like, you're a victim, or you're a handler, you're an enabler, or you're like supplying more victims as the parent, you know, that could be termed a handler. For people that don't know about this, or don't want to know about this, all this stuff sounds crazy, but for people that have experienced this and that understand what it is, it makes perfect sense. So let's chat, say more, let's talk, drop comments, use this space in your comment section here to get it off your chest, to vent. I can talk my part of it, and you got to talk your part of it. It looks like we got the trolls all out of here. Thanks, moderator. Hi, pretty. My dog is really possessive of her ball. She was looking like, you're not gonna touch my ball, are you? Okay, good. All right. So essentially, what happened to start the contracts and the curses, because everybody talks about breaking generational curses, but they don't talk about how they started in the first place. And it behooves you to understand how these things start so that you can avoid starting them. Because that's the thing about breaking these curses. Like, the whole point of the generational curse is for it to work. It's not just, oh, oops, it didn't work, half-assed bullshit. It is like, we're taking out the next 7 generations of your bloodline and salting the earth so you'll never grow anything again. And a lot of times, these are not different races that are fighting each other. These are literal brothers. Which, to get technical, you could have a family and everyone in the family could be a different race depending on the genetics of the parents. That was common back in the day. That's one of the reasons why Arab people are so vilified, but that's a topic for another day. Yeah, they talk about this in the Bible. Like the 2 brothers, Jacob and Esau. Jacob was the usurper. Esau came out the womb ready to get his blessings, and his twin was grabbing his foot, ready to take them all. I don't do drugs. No. Just shrooms. I've done an ayahuasca journey, and I smoke weed. Not all the time. He said, no, your teeth are too nice. Yeah. I don't, hey. No, I don't deal with that stuff. And part of the reason why I don't deal with that stuff, also I just don't like it. But you have to be cautious of stuff like that, because that's one of the easiest ways for mind control to take place is through drugs. Like even like smoking weed, I'm not gonna just smoke weed with anybody. I'm not going to hit the blunt with everybody hitting the blunt. And even now, I don't really do it that much anymore, because other things are more important to me, like my health, like having a long life. Why would I increase my chances for heart failure and organ failure if I don't have to? Because I started smoking weed when I was 12 years old to cope with all the stuff that I'm talking about. And I know a lot of us did. Like people that are on drugs are survivors of childhood sexual abuse. That's why they do drugs. That's why they're addicts. People don't just get addicted to drugs and need an escape from their life for no reason. They are dealing with trauma. So what's the solution? Like open up more space to heal and just having conversations like this. So I really want to break this down for y'all because we only have a few more minutes. What we're seeing with my background as an advocate for sex workers and survivors of sex trafficking, we all knew, like I have this one speech that I gave where I was saying after war, poverty, famine, sex workers rebuild entire communities. And that's true, but what I didn't realize at the time when I was saying it is why that is true, because it's by design, because it's the cause, not the effect. It's not like, oh, we have to handle business now because shit is fucked up. It's no, that shit got fucked up just to put you in a position to where you will be vulnerable to sex trafficking, to selling your children into sex slavery, to abusing your children. Trauma happens, and I've been working with the Kabbalah tree of life and the different energy centers in the body, which actually there's like one row of energy centers in the Kabbalah tree of life that's missing, that's in the body. And so I've been working with these energy centers to see how humanity gets enslaved through them. And one of the points of grooming for the sex slave lineage, the sex slave lineage is also the soldier lineage. So on the feminine side, typically the feminines are groomed as sex slaves and the masculines are groomed as the soldiers, but it could be interchangeable. And also the best soldier in spiritual warfare is the beautiful woman that a lot of people want to sleep with. So people are groomed as soldiers without knowing that they're being groomed as soldiers. They're groomed to be able to go into different environments and collect information, and they don't know that. People talk a lot about monitoring spirits, but they don't even know how they are actually monitoring spirits themselves. Because it's all in the unconscious mind, it's controlled by spirit. You're not controlling it, spirit is. The people doing it are not controlling it, spirit is. A spirit, specific spirits. These are the same spirits that King Solomon worked with. They govern these rituals to this day. And for me, breaking these curses, I worked with those spirits to break these curses. And at a certain time, they stopped helping me because I was doing something that was out of the bounds of their dominion. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask, because we only have about 10 minutes left. So yes, you started weed at 13. Like, who else started doing drugs, smoking, drinking, whatever, at a young age before you were 18? That's going to indicate the presence of childhood trauma, whether or not you know that you have it or not. A lot of people like just laugh it off, but it's actually a serious problem for relational safety, feeling safe at home, and feeling safe and grounded in your root chakra. This root chakra is what I specialize in helping people with. That's ancestry. That's your early childhood experiences. That's your past life experiences. That's your sexuality. That's your place in community, your belonging. And when you experience childhood sexual abuse, it inherently ruptures your sense of belonging and sense of community, because it positions you as somebody who isn't entitled to safety and care within a community, because your purpose is to be sexually exploited for other people's pleasure. And survivors of childhood sexual abuse learn that your rent that you pay to live on earth among people is to sexually pleasure and sexually satisfy and stimulate them. And if you're not doing that, then you're not welcome. Essentially, you don't have a place on earth. So it becomes compulsory. So that's why sex workers can do sex work and other people can't, because you've already had your root chakra destroyed at a young age. So the door is just wide open. So this is why, like, a lot of healers that I've talked to and that I've worked with, like, they'll be like, well, he didn't rape me, you know. It's kind of like, it was like, I just let him. I didn't say no. That's breeding. You are bred to not say no, because your root chakra is wide open. Because there's some type of contract that along the way your ancestry has entered into, and that included you, even if you had nothing to do with it. It's generational. So a lot of times people think that a generational curse is like some lady in the village got mad at your grandma because she was fine and beautiful and she got your granddaddy, and the other bitch wanted him, and so she threw a hex on her and cursed her. That is pathetically easy to clear and get rid of. That's why, like, literally almost any psychic or healer can do it. But what you have to worry about is the contracts that your ancestry entered into seemingly voluntarily, but they were usually, their back was up against the wall. They were pushed into a corner. They had no other options. And again, that was by design. The whole point of the war, the whole point of the poverty, famine, refugee campaign was to put this specific lineage and these specific people in a vulnerable enough position that they would sell their children so that they could survive, that they would exploit their children so that they could survive, and so that they would be so messed up in the head that they could abuse their own children and prime those children to be abused by other people. Because if they weren't already broken, then they wouldn't be able to be hijacked in that way. But these spirits choose people who are already broken, or they choose them ahead of time, and then they orchestrate their experiences so they go through things that break them. So I didn't see them question, but go ahead and ask. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. Let me know you're here, like the video so that more people can see it, because I could keep going, but I'm gonna stop this in about 6 minutes, and then I'm gonna start my private container. So if you guys want to join the private container, send me an email. My email's in my bio, and it's in my description of this video. Sarada@rootchakragoddess.love. If you want to tip me, I appreciate that. A butterfly, a black and yellow butterfly. Drop some black and yellow heart emojis. Tips are appreciated. All that info is in the description box and in my bio. I'm burping now. That's part of the energy work. My students that study Reiki with me, they're always like, is this burping part of it? Yeah, you're clearing energy specifically from the solar plexus. That's a good thing, because a lot of the ways that these curses are anchored in is in the solar plexus. There's like a false consciousness and a false chakra system that's put in place, so that way you won't be able to figure it out. All psychic activity is funneled through these curses. It's funneled through these larger organizations that create them. So what they do is, just for example, they start a war. Oh, but they pretend that the other side is the one that started it, even though they didn't. They'll even create an entire fake militia representing the other side, and then have that fake militia attack them, so then they have an excuse to attack the actual humans that make up that group that had nothing to do with that fake ass militia. And the reason why is because they want to displace these people so that they can take their children and sex traffic them, and then they can sexually abuse the adults. They want to kill anybody that has high level intellect or understanding of advanced and complex topics. And Palestinian people, like, I'm Palestinian, we've traditionally been bred and groomed as courtesans, concubines, sex slaves, wives, castrated castle servants, spiritual slaves, spiritual servants, and teachers that are to enable the grooming process of future victims. And so you'll see, like, a lot of jobs that Arab people do are ones that transcend the caste system. Like, you can move up, you can change your tax bracket with becoming an engineer, becoming a doctor. But a lot of Arabs also are teachers, or coaches, like other, therapists. Like, there's other jobs that are not necessarily as high paying or prestigious, but they do carry a level of social importance. And all these positions, they have to do with grooming and enabling. Like, they're people placed at specific spaces in the supply chain to supply people with information, with substances, with food, with some type of monitoring. These are all things that easily happen within those professions. Because everyone is involved. It's not like a black versus white thing, or a people of color versus white people thing, or a colonizer versus colonized things. The colonized was selling out the other colonized to the colonizers so that they wouldn't be one of them. They didn't want to be colonized. They had a chance to make a deal with them people. Are you serious? They took it. Why wouldn't they? Because people in desperate situations do desperate things. And they don't really care about who else's family suffers as a result of it. They're not making these decisions from a place of care, compassion, and consideration for all of humanity. They're making these decisions from survival. So what will typically happen in these situations is that, like, there's like a family that's fleeing for their lives, and they have no food to eat and nowhere to live. They're not safe. And here comes some military, political, governmental, religious organization or multinational corporation that magically can provide them with that food, with that shelter, with the things that they need. And it's only on one condition, but you don't know what the condition is. It's childhood sexual abuse. From then on, all your children will be sexually abused, or at least one from each generation. And the people that end up becoming sex workers are the most likely candidates to be the ones that are targeted for this child abuse. Like, think about it. Who did you think was in the child porn? Not sex workers? Why wouldn't it be? How many people do you know that don't remember their childhood, that have literally no memory of their childhood? Don't you think that's weird? If it was so great, wouldn't you remember more of it? You wouldn't have to have blacked it out to survive. But it's very taboo to even talk like this in this industry, where everybody wants to say, because there's always that stupid comment like, oh, you must do this because you were abused as a child. And people don't want to hear that. Like, they don't want to be mass diagnosed by some dumbass loser that's just trying to be an emotional tourist and read them. So differentiating what I'm saying from the typical jargon is like, this is communicated for the express purposes of ending generational cycles that limit your wealth, that limit your energy, the energy that you have for yourself. They limit your vocal expression, they limit your sexual expression, they limit your creative expression. That's why there's so many gifted, talented strippers that can sing, that can rap, that can dance, that can write, that can paint, and they rarely transition out of sex work. And they rarely make a name for themselves with that creative production. Why? Because too much of their creative energy is going to outside sources, and then when they try to take and make something for themselves, that other energy overpowers them. So in root lock, working with me, you learn how to call that energy back. You learn how to take it all back for yourself and how to use it and how to protect yourself on an ongoing basis against the spiritual attacks, which you know are going to come. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, who, what, when, and where. And the more support you have in that, the more equipped you are to be able to handle it. Because it's going to be a thing no matter what. Because you don't even have to be actively trying to break these curses. You just have to be actively trying to better yourself and have things in life that you've never had before, and maybe nobody that you know has ever had before. And that's bad enough for these demons to start attacking you. And again, for the firewall in your own mind to say, I'm not safe, I need to self-sabotage or shut it down. So I'm going to be going deeper into the extended, and once I finish that, I'll drop a link for it in these comments here. But you guys, if you want to join live, just let me know. Email me. It's $111. You can just pay and use the tipping information at the link in my I don't even know what I'm saying. You can just pay with my Venmo or PayPal and I'll automatically add you. Okay? But anyways, that's for right now. In the future, I'll just drop the link and you guys can shop now or forever hold your peace. Join Root Lock, join the foundation. I'll tell you guys more about that, but now I have to go to do this energy work. So I'm going to be going deeper. I'm going to be going deeper into the chakra system. I'm going to be clearing these cords, clearing these contracts. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do it and reintegrating the soul fragments that have been lost along the way. So tune in for that. I'll see you there. Peace, healers. Masalama, and thank you for being here. Much love. I'm not going to stop talking about this, so don't worry. We have a lot more to talk about.